Rise and shine, my people. Welcome back to the channel. This is Evan Auga at the Physique. I have an especially special video for you. Today, I will be reacting to Greg Doucette's critique of Andrew Tate's prison physique. Now, since I actually went through and did Andrew Tate's prison workout, which consists of 1,000 squats, 1,000 push-ups, and a 20-kilometer walk every day, I actually went through and did that workout myself. I posted the video. It's on my channel. You can check it out. I'm actually qualified to speak on this issue, so I'll be breaking down Greg's analysis and sharing my thoughts along the way. This is a little bit different from what you're used to seeing on my channel, so if you enjoy the video, please subscribe and let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to make more. Without further ado, go ahead, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Coach Greg, in today's video, Andrew Tate's prison physique. Have you seen it? Well, a lot of you have. People begging me, do an ad or not. What do you think of this? And so what amazes me is that people are on both sides of the fence. Coach Greg, have you seen his new physique? He put on a ton of muscle. Guy looks absolutely incredible. He's in prison. How could he have done this? And to the opposite extent, have you seen Andrew Tate? He's now got a dad bod. Look at all the body fat he's put on. And so, which is it?
People are on both sides of the fence because people don't know what they're talking about. I swear people will train for 6 months or a year, and all of a sudden, everybody becomes a fitness expert, and everybody becomes qualified to judge and rate other people's physiques as if they know what they're talking about. But anyway, that's besides the point. That's for a whole other video.
First things first, let's address TRT. And so Andrew Tate went to prison, and are you telling me that it's impossible to maintain TRT or to get testosterone in jail? Does anyone think it's impossible to find testosterone while you're in prison? If you have a medical prescription for TRT and you go to prison, they're going to continue to allow you to have your prescription. Imagine, you're a type 2 diabetic, you rely on insulin, you go to prison, they don't give it to you. And so I'm not saying that he has to be on.
He's right about that. If you are on some sort of prescription, you should have access to that same prescription despite being in jail. However, this is Romania we're talking about, and so there really are no guarantees to anything.
On TRT, yes or no, we don't know that for sure. But I'm not going to rule out and say it was impossible that he was able to get anabolics while in prison. Imagine, guy with millions of dollars, so many connections, you really think he couldn't have possibly got some SARMs Anavar testosterone while sitting in a prison cell? Of course he could. He's for sure working his ass off in jail.
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely possible, but do I personally think Andrew Tate was taking anything at any point in time, much less when he was in prison? No. I think it's a pretty obvious no. The guy's been in shape his entire life. He's been an athlete, a professional athlete at that. And I just don't think his physique is crazy to the point where it's glaringly obvious that he takes roids, because in most situations, it is glaringly obvious to the trained eye when somebody is actually taking some sort of anabolics.
There's no excuse to not get in shape in jail with the exception of lack of diet. Also, there's no real proof, but they say your testosterone levels can rise in jail or prison due to high stress nature of possible fights or stabbings.
This guy's right in the sense that he is for sure working hard in jail, and I like how he mentioned there's no excuse to not get in shape in jail no matter what. There's no excuse to not get in shape no matter what you're doing. You have people in third world countries who have never stepped foot in a gym in their entire lives, and they're still able to get in shape. Meanwhile, we're here in America with all the luxuries in the world. Even if some people have it better than others, there's still no excuse to not be in shape. Let's continue.
Do you really think that the inherent danger of being in potential fights, getting in physical altercations with other people, being on high alert all the time is conducive to building muscle?
Yes.
And so let's argue that it does, in fact, increase testosterone. Do you not think that the negatives, the rise in cortisol, is going to offset the potential for those gains?
Depends on the person.
So really think about it. Analyze these things. Imagine if all you had to do was increase stress to have more testosterone grow huge. Everyone in university cramming for exams, worrying about their girlfriends cheating on them and so on, they'd all get jacked.
No, because that's not real stress. Those are first world problems. Those are not real problems. That's not real danger. So that's not a real good point, Greg.
It's not the case. Less stress is better. The stress you want is on the muscles when you're actually in the gym trying to work out.
Now, in a general sense, for the majority of people, he's right about that. Less stress is better. But then again, who out here is actually doing nothing but training and eating and sleeping? No, everybody's actually going through some type of stress, some more than others. And so you have to be able to adapt to and channel that stress to your advantage, regardless of the situation.
After that, you want to relax, recover, rest, and repair.
When I was in jail, I did 7,417 push-ups.
And next up, he did a whopping 7,417 push-ups while in jail. I was thinking, was that per day? I mean, doesn't Chef Rush do 2,222 push-ups at about 2 in the morning every single day? And so in the same time, Chef Rush doing about...
Okay, that guy is a completely different story. You can't really compare the two. You can't compare this guy to anybody. I don't even know who this guy is, but he looks like just a freak of nature.
160 plus thousand push-ups. And so 7,000 plus push-ups in that many days, it's not actually all that many.
No, it's not actually that many, but if you look into the reason why he said 7,417 push-ups specifically, out of any number he could have chosen, there's a reason he chose that number, and that's not actually the number of push-ups he did. I'm sure he did a lot more, but again, it goes back to the specific reason he chose 7,417, which, if you don't know why he chose that number, I'm going to leave it up to you to do your own research.
Look at this photo, beefy Andrew. He still looks absolutely massive.
But then they showed a video of him in March. Looked a lot more skinny. Looked like he lost potentially 20 pounds of muscle. But then he gets out of jail and suddenly he's a tank. First of all, when he gets out of jail, the guy is pumped up. You can clearly see his muscles are swollen. They have more glycogen. The muscles are fully loaded.
Tate definitely hit a max set of push-ups before recording that video. I gotta call it how I see it. And the lighting is immaculate, but that's besides the point.
And so really think of it. Do you know how easy it is to make yourself look better than you actually are? And so Andrew Tate's got the proper downlighting, pumped up, walking properly, and looks amazing. Not going to debate it, but check out this photo taken at the same time and tell me, does he look like he's put on body fat to you?
Well, if you take a video and break it down frame by frame, of course you're going to come across frames that are looking better than others. So it just depends how deep into the details you want to get.
And so in that photo, you can clearly see Guy is above 15% body fat.
Now, I will say this, he's definitely put on some body fat while in prison, and I think that's to be expected. That's not a shocker by any means. How much of that was muscle? Of course, not all of it. He does look like he put on a good bit of muscle. At the same time, he already has a solid foundation of muscle from years and years of prior training. So even if you put a few pounds of body fat on top of that, he's still going to look muscular, no matter what.
You can see some love handles, fat protruding past the waistline, but he still looks good. You can clearly see he's still got the muscle, but not nearly as lean as before he got in prison. And he's puffing on that cigar, and you're looking at this, and if that's the only photo you saw, you're thinking, wow, Andrew Tate went to jail, probably ate in a calorie surplus, wasn't exercising, and let his body go a little bit. And so in comparison to him shirtless sitting on that bench, look at...
I wouldn't say he ate in a calorie surplus because I can't imagine him to have had that much food while he was in Romanian prison. Again, let's not forget the fact that this is Romanian prison, which is, you know, I can't speak from personal experience, but I can't imagine it to be any type of justice or fairness in there. So again, I don't think he had a calorie surplus. I just think he had a lot less protein than he was used to. If your diet is consisting of majority fats and carbs, then that's going to change your body composition, and that's going to make it a lot easier for you to put on body fat as opposed to retain and build muscle.
The definition, the shreds. Look at the tricep. It hangs off him in the mirror. Guy has striations under...
Yeah, this physique right here, this is a physique that is primarily based on protein. I always talk about protein. I always talk about how important protein is for building muscle. Anybody who's in great shape, especially anybody who's super lean, their diet is majority protein. That is the main focus of their diet.
10% body fat. And so think of this. When you're dieting down single-digit body fat, you're going to look a lot smaller. When you're off-season on a bulk, your glycogen stores are up, you're going to look significantly bigger. And that's oftentimes why people go on a bulk. They put on all this weight. Perhaps it's 20, maybe even 30 pounds. They say, look at all this muscle I put on. Yeah, I put on a little bit of weight on my belly, maybe 5 pounds of fat, but the rest, 15, 20, that's all muscle. No, it's not. It's mostly water, glycogen, and yes, of course, body fat with a little bit of muscle. And so you then go on your mini cut only to discover it wasn't all muscle after all. And so yes, Andrew does look a lot bigger, but he has more.
Okay, as obnoxious as that bit was, I have to agree with Greg here. It's funny to see people going on these bulks and these cuts multiple times throughout the year, and they don't realize that they're literally just putting on and losing the same 10, 15 pounds over and over again. People go on a bulk and they think they're actually putting on muscle. You're just putting on fat and water for the most part, and then you cut, and it's just the same endless process. I think if you're actually going to go on a bulk and take it seriously, you need to be bulking for at least 6 months for you to actually give yourself a chance to put on quality muscle that you can retain when you go on your cut.
Body fat than friggin' last time. He's got more body fat, he's been eating more, and so he's not as lean and looks bigger. And so regardless of what you think, he's not as lean as he used to. He is under great lighting. It makes him look bigger than leaner than he probably is, but it is in fact noticeable. He has in fact gained a significant amount of body fat. He's still healthy, still in shape, close to 15%. But he's not shredded. He's not single digits. And so if you go to prison and eat in a surplus, do less cardio, of course your body fat levels are going to go up. But if you just do the minimum and don't completely give up, and you get in 1/3 the volume, you can maintain all the muscle that you want built. It only takes 1/3 of the volume that you did to get the muscle you have in order to keep it. And so once you built an incredible physique, it's a lot easier to keep it.
Some of this science stuff is a little bit too complicated for most people to understand. But again, I'm going to have to agree with Greg here in this case. It's a lot easier to stay in shape once you already get in shape. It's a lot easier to maintain that over time.
Gotten to 200 in the first place. And so considering that Andrew continued to do push-ups, perhaps 100 a day, probably did other various
1,000 squats, 1,000 push-ups, and 20 kilometers walking. Look, I didn't make that up, right? I just followed the plan. I did it myself, right? I'm not the one who made the plan. This is Andrew's plan. Put some respect on his name now.
Forms of cardio, perhaps pistol squats for his legs. Perhaps he did handstand wall push-ups, various forms of calisthenics. Why couldn't he maintain his physique?
Muscle memory is a real thing, guys. If you take some time off of training, no matter really how much time it is, it's a lot easier to put that muscle back on, put that weight back on, than it is to actually build it in the first place. The hardest part is always the beginning. Once you have that foundation, even if you take some time off, even if you slip a little bit, it's a lot easier to get that back. It's still going to take time. It's still going to take work. You definitely can't discount that fact, but the truth is, it is easier to get it back once you've already had it.
And if he goes in a small deficit, starts doing cardio, eating properly again,
I would say for Andrew to get as lean as he was, he is probably a good 4 weeks of solid dieting away. Minimum. If he really goes hard, he can do it in 4 weeks. If he takes sort of a more laissez-faire approach, then you can comfortably do it in between 8 or 10 weeks.
Of course he's going to get his shreds back. And so just because you were unable to train in the best gyms in the world for perhaps 2 or 3 months, it's not going to be the end of you. Andrew Tate, perfect example of this.
He revealed how he blew up in size on Twitter. He tweeted out saying, "Diet hack, Ramadan.
Is it in fact Ramadan? Is that why he put on all this size? Of course not. You really think that fasting for perhaps 16 hours is the key to muscle growth? It's in fact the opposite. And during Ramadan, what you want to do is not train as hard. You want to just maintain the physique that you have. Perhaps lower the volume to 1/3 of what you're doing. Don't go for 1-rep maxes. Don't try to set PRs, because if you do, you're a lot more likely to get injured.
That's true. I have noticed that the intensity of my workouts has not been the same throughout Ramadan. Now, I'm still pushing myself as hard as I can, but I've never been the type to go for 1-rep maxes, and I'm still trying to go heavy. I'm not going lighter on purpose. I'm just doing the best I can in the gym, and I'm still going just as often as I was before Ramadan. By the way, I did Andrew Tate's prison workout completely fasted the entire day. I was fasting. I didn't have any food. I didn't have any water, and I was perfectly fine. It's really just the mindset that people are lacking. People psych themselves out of doing something before they even start, before they even try.
And so during this period of time when you're fasting, this is not the time to try to make improvements. You're simply trying to maintain what you had. Once Ramadan is over, you can get back to your old training and make the gains you needed in the gym.
That's a good point that Greg makes. If you want to look at Ramadan as sort of a deload month, that actually could be beneficial for you in the long term. Because if you give your body some time to not train as intensely, then you give your body more time to recover. And for a lot of people, this could be good and help them actually make more gains in the long run. Me, again, I'm just built different, so I'm not included in this.
Look at the two photos, less than 1 month apart. Honestly, he has the biggest sleeper build ever. I honestly think Andrew should stay this size or even get bigger.
And so yeah, it may in fact just be a sleeper build. It could be that he put on a lot of size. It might even be that he got access to performance enhancing drugs following this photo. Or it could just be the lighting. We don't know. But what I do know is stop comparing yourself to other people. And
before Greg gives his closing statements, I want to say that I feel like he was just teetering between the line on too many of these issues, namely with the PEDs. Yeah, we don't know for sure, but to me it's obvious that he's not. His physique is just not there for him to be on any performance-enhancing drugs, any steroids. At the same time, it's pretty obvious that his diet was not as great. He was having more carbs, more fat. Greg is just saying, while he's making a few good points, he's also saying a whole lot of nothing.
considering the fact that many people are saying he looks so much better now, while others saying he looks so much worse, it can't be both. And so that further proves the point that it's based on the photo video that you're seeing. If all you saw was that photo of him standing smoking the cigar with his stomach sticking out, you're thinking, dad bod, gained a bunch of body fat. But if you see him walking, pacing around the room, downlighting all pumped up, you're thinking, wow, incredible, look at his transformation. And so don't be fooled by what you see. Please analyze everything. Keep an open mind. We don't know if he was on HRT. We don't know if he's natural. But does it really matter? The point is the guy kept in shape. He did the best that he could. That's all that you can ask from him. Many people wouldn't have done any of the push-ups at all. They would have just sat in their cell and did nothing. And so props to him for training harder than last time, remembering that fitness is important no matter where you are in your life. Who knows?
Good, but he did 1,000. He did 1,000 per day.
Maybe it's even possible they smuggled in ActiBuilder or GT.
I think we're gonna end the video there since he's getting into his promo. He's already got this wall of supplements behind him. Who knows what Greg would be looking like if it wasn't for all the stuff that he was taking. So really, this is a part of the video that we don't need to see. Thank you so much for your opinion, Greg. I like the point that you made in the end about how he kept up with his fitness routine just as everyone should, regardless of the circumstances. That's a great point, a great message. Other than that, you had a few good points. In general, I want to say thank you just for making this video that I could react to. Thank you for entertaining the masses in the realms of fitness. This is my first video of yours that I've watched somewhat all the way through. Again, I'm gonna skip that last part, but solid video overall. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Shoot for the stars.